And when we look at the ocean, here's what I really want you guys to think about. When it comes down to the oceans, we actually know more about interstellar or outer stellar space than we do of what's going on inside our own oceans. We know very, very little about the oceans, and that's pretty obvious. And it's clear as to why that might be. When you think about the fact that some of the oceans are over a mile deep. In fact, the deepest place on the ocean is where?
Mariana Trench.
And how deep is the Mariana Trench?
About 7 miles.
7 miles. From the surface of the ocean to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Now, I want you to think about that. Think about having 7 miles worth of water sitting on top of you, and imagine the pressure that that would build. Okay, so if you've ever swam down to the bottom of an 8-foot pool, that's only 8 feet of water. Try going down 7 miles of water. So a tremendous amounts of pressure. And so for that reason, we don't really get to explore those areas that much because we don't really have the technology to withstand that type of pressure. And the things that we do build, they're windows that they can look out of. Might be 3 inches in diameter. Not that big. That's their entire viewing port. So we don't really have a lot of information. And we don't really go down to the bottom of the ocean that much. And every time we do go, we find something new, which is kind of cool. So before we were able to do that, scientists could at best only guess what the ocean floor looked like. So I want you to put yourself in their situation. If you were a scientist and you had to guess what the ocean floor looked like, where would you go to look for a particular model? What do you think would be that you would rationally think would be similar to the bottom of an ocean?
A lake.
A quarry, okay. Where else?
Just go to natural water or fresh water.
Yeah, fresh water, like what? Like a lake or a pond, right? And if we swim down to the bottom of the lake, what does that look like?
It's kind of grass, a lot of seaweed.
A lot of seaweed.
Or if there's none, it's just all sand.
Okay, so very sandy and very silty. What does the topography look like?
Kind of flat.
Yeah, it's pretty flat. So one of the things that we, used to think as scientists about the ocean floor is that it was flat. Had to be flat. Totally makes sense that it would be flat. Why would we not have a flat ocean bottom? Not only that, why would the ocean be changing? So we thought it was unchanging, it's constant. There's no need for the ocean floor to change. There's no force that would cause it to change. So we thought it was flat, we thought it was unchanging. And not only that, but we also thought that the continents grew out of the ocean crust, and therefore, ocean crust was older than continental. So these were our major held beliefs about the ocean and what it looked like. Well, during the mid-1900s, again, we're talking about 1940 through 1960s, technology really starts to jump forward. And I'm not sure if you guys have picked up on this or not, but what is the major driving force? When we have really cool technology that's developed, who's really developing that technology?
Scientists.
Well, yeah, scientists, but who are they developing that technology for? Not really for us. We are always the second people to get it.
Rich people.
No, even before rich people. We're the first people who actually get their hands on this new technology.
Government?
Yeah, and what's it used for? No. Almost always used for military actions. So a lot of the technology, almost all the technology, the internet was something that was theorized to help the military to communicate across the world. And the cell phone, same thing. The ink pen was a development out of NASA. And the same thing for underwater ink pens, same thing. A pencil that could write underwater was developed by NASA. So when we think about all these technologies that we have, it really comes out of the military saying, here's our problem, and then they go and ask somebody to go solve the problem for them. So it's kind of neat if you think about it. So wartime is a great time to have new technologies taking off. So here we go. We start with some new stuff. And so we start off with this SONAR. And SONAR is an acronym for Sound Navigation and Ranging. How does it work? Okay, so it sends out a sound wave, right? And what is it trying to do? Yeah. Why did we develop this? What were we trying to find? We're trying to find submarines, right? So this is during World War II. And if you think about it, it was really kind of important to get this because the German Navy, with all the U-boats, were absolutely destroying trade across the Atlantic. And so this forced our trade to go in these huge convoys. And to kind of help protect them, we started to give them, like a U.S. destroyer would escort the convoy. So it was, quite an expensive, parting to do that. So what we ended up doing is we developed this new technology called SONAR, and we found out that sound travels really well through water. In fact, sometimes you can hear whales, speaking or doing their songs over a mile away. So again, the sound travels really well through water. So what they do, just like what Cole told us, they send out this sound wave and it hits the bottom. And what's it do when it hits the bottom? No, it reflects right back up. And what we can do is we know how fast sound travels through water. And now what we can figure out is understanding that time and how long it took to get there and back. We can actually figure out the distances under the water. So again, think about the distance or how long it would take for that wave to get down to A. Or again, if the boat was sitting over here on top of B. So what's going to take longer, to get down to A or to get down to B? Yeah, it's going to take a much longer time to get down to A. So as they're doing this, the Navy is using these sound waves, and they're starting to create maps based on sonar. And we're able to get these pictures of the ocean floor. And it really confused a lot of people because as we're getting this information back, we realize that our ocean floor is no longer flat, but it has all these hills and valleys and ridges. So immediately, this starts to override our previous notions that we had about the ocean floor, all because of the use of sonar. That again, its original purpose was to search for submarines, but we get a lot of scientific feedback from that purpose. And it didn't cost the scientists anything, because the whole time that the Navy ships are out there, they're sending out sound wave after sound wave and recording that data, and we get this collected picture. And when we see it from across the globe, we can see that we have these mountain ranges that literally wrap themselves around the entire globe.
That are underwater.
Yeah, this is all underwater. These underwater mountain ranges. So again, right away we eliminate that belief that the ocean floor was flat. Definitely not flat. So sonar helped us to understand that we had these underwater mountain ranges. And with that, we often have these trenches. And guess what we found out? Kind of interesting. Right here we have the mountain range. Right here along the East Pacific. It's called the East Pacific Rise. And guess what I have right along this entire section? Yes, that's called the Ring of Fire. But if you go under the ocean, we have these deep oceanic trenches. And what the scientists started to do when they realized that, we had these mountain ridges, the valleys or the trenches are always opposite of the ocean ridges. Now again, all we know is that this stuff is here. Nobody's talking about plate tectonics yet. All we know is that this stuff is here. We've identified it. We haven't quite figured out how they got to be there. Okay, so this is just one piece of evidence that we have these mid-oceanic ridges, and opposite of those are the deep ocean trenches. And the Marianas Trench is right about here, 7 miles deep. So this left us with a big question. What could possibly have created mountain ranges taller than the Himalayas and trenches deeper than the Grand Canyon? What kind of mega force was causing this to happen? So we're really starting to kind of build this idea. We're getting toward plate tectonics, but we're not quite ready yet.